All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. There is literally nothing going on in the world of mixed martial arts at this point in time, okay? No good interviews, no good anything. So I figured we would revisit our good old pal, Derek Moneyberg. Okay, the reason I want to talk about him today is because Derek Moneyberg cannot stop talking about essentially us, or as he would put it, the haters, okay? And I just find it absolutely hilarious because it always seems to be the case that people who claim they care about other people's opinions the least are always the ones that talk about it the most. We see this kind of phenomenon with Brendan Schaub, okay? Where that guy claims none of the negative comments matter and all of that kind of stuff, while hyper fixating on those comments and always addressing the contents of them. And that's what we are getting with Moneyberg, okay? Because in about half of his last 5 or 6 videos on YouTube, that's what the main focus has been, addressing the quote-unquote haters, even allegedly having one on his show to kind of debate him and Jake Shields. Now, in my opinion, this guy might have been a complete and total plant, okay? But we will get into that as the video progresses. I'll also briefly cover the whole Sean Strickland scenario, which I know was a while ago, okay? But I think it's too good not to cover in this video. But at the time, I didn't want to do an entire video just on that. So anyways, let's just get into the clips.
What's your main question? You're going to get one main question. You're not going to say, how do you move your left toe when you're in this specific position? The answer is
simple things like, you know what Torrico Plata is, or
I don't know what the that is. What the Torri Plata? I don't know what that is.
Hoist Gracie doesn't know the name of things. Hoist Gracie is a 7th degree black belt.
Knowing the
legend.
names of moves and stuff, that's not like how most experts, it's the guys that aren't that good that like just talk about jiu-jitsu all the time that know the type of shit. Like a lot of the guys that actually like, and people give different names too. You talk to John Donner, he's gonna give you a bunch of Japanese names.
What are your main turtle escapes?
I don't need to answer your little. I don't. It's like I don't give a about the name or something, or like some little gotcha game of like he doesn't know what the Torrico Plata is. Blah 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 blah. It's like you. I don't care. I don't give a what you think about it.
Like the names is just not a way to know. Like I mean, people call moves different names.
No, when someone has your basic back escapes, like I don't know.
My back escape is top level. I get out of anybody's back control.
Yeah, some of the best back and mount escapes out of anyone, which is pretty. Let's go to mount real quick. I'll ask politely. I started teaching them a good, what do you call that? The shaking one, right? I came back a month later.
Kipping escape.
And I can hold everyone on mount. This escape mount like 20 times on me. I was so I would have been pissed after I started teaching him because Gordon Ryan came over and spent a week with him. Thankfully, I'd started teaching it. It would just kip out of anyone's guard, just like, or anyone's mount, just like that. He has amazing back escapes too.
All right, so in this first clip here is that debate I was talking about where him and Jake Shields have brought on a guy to question the validity of Derek Moneyberg's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu credentials, essentially. Okay, his fucking black belt. And like I said, I think this guy might be a plant because I think the questions he is asking are just not the right questions to ask, which kind of allows Moneyberg to just easily brush this shit off, okay? But I do just need to say, Jake Shields genuinely sounds like someone with a room temperature IQ almost any time he opens his mouth. And yes, I'm fully aware that he has legitimate jiu-jitsu credentials, but first of all, this guy just said escape, okay? Which is one of my pet peeves, and I think it is a good measurement of one's intelligence. If I'm being honest, the S very clearly comes before the C in that word, okay? Now, aside from that, he also sounds exactly like Beavis and Butthead with that ridiculous little laugh that he does all the fucking time, okay? Someone should ask him to put his shirt over his head so that he can be the great Cornholio or something, because Jesus Christ. Now, I will acknowledge that focusing on the names of things is a little bit silly, but Jake saying that it's usually the guys that aren't that good at jiu-jitsu are the ones that do focus on it, I find absolutely fucking hilarious, considering Gordon Ryan is pretty autistic when it comes to the names of all the different techniques. But either way, I just love that Moneyberg here is saying like, I don't give a fuck what you think about it, while joining in on the little giggle session that they're having. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if next episode they were under a fucking blanket together. But You do very clearly care enough to the extent you are even engaging in this discussion, okay? But let's keep going.
You know, Hoist Gracie doesn't know the names of a lot of things. You know what else? I don't know a lot of finance terms, but I made $100 million fucking dollars. You know what else? I don't know every. I don't know when I would study in history, when I studied philosophy, and I was a business major. When I studied philosophy, I don't remember the dates of everything because I never gave a. I have to remember the main principles. The main principles are what's important in life, and you know. So I don't know the name of some things, but when you're in the middle of a situation and you're like, you know, Gordon Ryan's voices in your head of like, you know, keep your knee and elbow together, separate your opponent's knee and elbow, or Jake's in my head of like, you know, rotate your hips. You know, I know exactly what to do. I don't know how to tell you like, oh yeah, like in that specific circumstance, you rotate your hips 72 degrees to the left and blah, 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 blah. Like, but I don't give a and you know, what I can do regarding the videos, like, oh, if we can't see this or that, bro, it's all over YouTube for the last 4 years. It's in my YouTube videos for the last 4 years. And you know what people did? And I'm not saying
they take the old videos.
They take a video where I was training for 3 months, and I don't, you know, and I'm training for 3 months, and then they go put that on their scumbag channel and pretend that was like last week's training.
All right, now there is a couple things here that I've got a serious problem with, okay? First of all, pointing out that other black belts don't know the names of certain techniques and whatnot does not exonerate you, okay? Now, not knowing them in the first place doesn't mean that you are not a black belt, but it's completely irrelevant here to bring up Hoist Gracie not knowing the names of certain techniques, which tells me that number two, this motherfucker did not study philosophy, okay? This absolute fallacious burlap sack of half-eaten cheeseburgers, okay? But the big thing for me here was him explaining that he would not be able to explain to you how to do techniques properly, which in my opinion is an accidental admission that you probably should not have your black belt, for fuck's sake, okay? If you don't know how to describe techniques and are still relying on your instructors, which is fine, by the way. I'm not saying that one should know everything once they become a black belt, but you probably aren't at the level of a black belt. Black belts can, typically speaking, okay, generally promote other practitioners. How can you do that if you can't even explain basic positions to people? And just because you blurt out these super fucking vague terms like rotate your hips, which is one of the first things you hear in almost any martial arts training, okay? Literally the first day of kickboxing for me, I must have heard that 50 times. But just because you blurt that shit out doesn't mean you know what you are talking about. And lastly, I want to address this because I feel as though he was talking almost directly to me. I took footage from your recent videos and put them in my videos, okay? Not ones from 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I looked through your more recent stuff to find more recent footage. Now, if you are putting 4-year-old footage at the beginning or throughout your new videos, that's on you, my guy, okay? And if that footage is embarrassing to you or isn't to your satisfaction and you have a problem with people using it to categorize your skill level, then live roll with someone that you aren't paying, okay? But either way, let's keep going.
Like, and one other comment about that, and you mentioned this earlier, I'm training with a bunch of UFC champions and a bunch of high-level UFC people. So when I just got my ass kicked for the first year I just got my ass kicked. And the second year, I got my ass kicked in slightly more sophisticated ways because I learned how to not get my ass kicked so easy because I got tired of getting my ass kicked in the simple ways the first year, okay? By the time you're into year 3 and so on, like I start doing pretty good. And when I get over, when I make a UFC top contender or former champion tap, is that what you should do with your coach? Just go put that on the internet immediately? That's what I'm supposed to do, is go film that and put it on the internet like a piece of. Would that be great to have like the best coaches over here? Is like they got to be on guard at every moment, and we're supposed to record every minute of everything we do, just in case wants to ask a question 4 years later. It's like I don't give a.
I think that's very important to add. Exactly. You can't like film him doing very well with the UFC guy and post it online. That would be like, make them look bad. I mean, UFC guys, you notice you don't see that much training footage even, because you're not supposed to, it's like, you don't show it when you tap people and stuff. But I understand the skepticism. So we're not like trying to shit on people because he got it so quick. He's got money. He's like, oh, he just paid these guys. I get it. But the fact that there's like 30 of the best guys in the world all vouching for him, all saying good things, you really think that, you know, Gordon Ryan, Mikey Musumeci, me, you know, there's like literally like 30 guys all saying, yeah, Derek's super legit. We're not saying he's a world championship, but I'm saying he's a better than average black belt. And people just can't get that through that head. And
True, Jake. People just can't get that through that head, okay? Not their head, but that head specifically. Absolutely groundbreaking stuff here from Jake Shields. But anyways, okay, again, either this guy is just a bad faith actor or he lied about knowing philosophy at all, because all he is doing here is building strawman arguments, okay? No one has asked for footage of you tapping UFC champions. We have been asking for footage of you tapping literally anyone that isn't your coaches, okay? And then the mega mind that is Jake Shields over here saying, you know, UFC guys don't even post that much, because like you're not supposed to do that, or whatever the fuck he said, which is true, by the way. Kind of a scumbag move to post footage of you messing some dude up in training or whatever, unless both of you have agreed on releasing that footage. But why that is not relevant here is because we then get to see the UFC fighters compete. Hello, are you okay, dude? Like, what the fuck are we talking about? By the way, I do find it absolutely fucking hilarious that up until Derek Tummyberg, the MMA community would applaud when guys would expose fraud fighters by basically just beating the shit out of them, okay? I remember watching some tubby dude in a ponytail who claimed he was like an Aikido master or something, and no, I'm not talking about Steven Seagal, but this guy got absolutely destroyed by a slap, asked for a timeout, and then got finished off with a body kick, and everyone cheered it. Or when street fighters go into gyms claiming that they can beat these guys up and they get destroyed, you know, everybody cheers. But now it's a guy who isn't just claiming something, but is paying all of these fighters. So I guess now it's no problem, and it's actually unreasonable for you to ask to see some evidence. Also, I do need to just briefly point out that Jake mentioned Gordon and Mikey here. Mikey literally already acknowledged that Derek Moneyberg is not black belt level, physically speaking, on a podcast with Craig Jones. We covered that on this channel. And Gordon Ryan kind of made himself look like a fool in a discussion with Brendan Schaub, okay, which is just fucking pathetic over this whole situation. But either way, let's keep going.
And I don't really give a with like, I don't need the public for anything. If the public never gives me another dollar, I don't really give a dude. I don't really give a I'm going to go make another 100 million and another 100 million, and I'm going to sit around in that purple Rolls Royce over there. If I get bored with that, I'll take a ride in my Maybach. I'll do whatever I want.
just last thing I would add, you know Gordon Ryan, right? He's pretty damn wealthy. You think he's going to come spend 4 days with him just for a paycheck, and if he's someone who's a fraud and a piece of shit? There's a lot of fighters doing that.
Okay, first off, everyone, I think you should know this, everyone is heavily influenced by money. Right? Me, the world. I understand that everyone is limited to some degree by money. I'm not saying he would necessarily get directly financed by Derek, but there's definitely influence in wanting to keep relationships good. Like, someone might not speak out not because they're receiving money, but just because they don't want the relationship to be damaged for future endeavors.
Okay, now I will be honest. This answer almost makes me want to take back the claim that this guy is a plant. The problem that I have is, I don't know if you guys can notice or not, but there are jump cuts all over the place during this video, which means that it was not done live, or it was done live and they cut out a bunch of stuff to make themselves look better. And if it's the former, then I would have to assume there was some sort of communications behind the scene with the guy that they are talking to. But here he is absolutely fucking correct. Okay, Jake Shields saying, well, Gordon's pretty wealthy. Do you really think he'd come here and train with him if he's just some scumbag? I mean, first of all, yeah, I kind of do. I don't know that Gordon would even look into this guy's background at all, okay? But when you try to sue someone who called you a scammer for defamation and you lose that lawsuit, you are a fucking scammer. But aside from even that, Jake is implying that Gordon's already wealthy, already rich, so he doesn't need the money or whatever. Gordon is like 31 years old or some shit, okay? When someone becomes wealthy at 30, they typically don't just stop making money, because by the time you're old, you'll run out of money, okay? Unless you do a really good job investing. But at 31, you have so much time left to generate wealth that this is just not a fucking argument, okay? Yeah, generally rich people still like to make more money, for crying out loud.
Something to be said about handling lower belts like blue and white belts and being able to handle someone spazzy versus an instructor who is trained and slow and methodical and can work at your own pace. And I'm not sure if you've gotten a chance to work with people who've...
He's slaughtered the lower belts. He mostly trains with higher belts, but on the few occasions they're around, he like picks them apart.
Okay, now I included this clip because anyone who has followed this situation or watched my videos on this topic will know that this was just a complete and total blatant lie, okay? On Jake Shields' own podcast, they spoke about this specifically, and Jake said he tried to get Derek to train with lower belt guys or even lower level black belts, but Derek refused and only wanted to train with higher profile champion type practitioners. I have evidence of this in my video that I did on that podcast episode if you want to check that out. So they have just completely flipped on that, probably because they realized how stupid it sounded, okay? That you are only willing to train with the guys that you are paying for privates and have never tested yourself against a blue belt or a purple belt or whatever the fuck. Now, I do want to move on to the Sean Strickland encounter, but before we do, I just want to show you guys something, okay? Derek did another one of these episodes with Henry Hooft. Essentially, the whole video on his YouTube channel was talking about haters this, haters that, or whatever. So just a lot of the same stuff that we have covered here already. I don't want to go over it necessarily, but I did realize from this episode why this guy wears socks on the mat, okay? And honestly, I think it's a virtuous and very considerate thing that he's doing, because I wouldn't want to get cut up with those Edward scissor toes. Okay, so Derek, good on you, pal. All right, keep wearing socks, please. You have 20 fingers and 0 toes. Absolutely insane. But anyways, let's move on to the Sean Strickland encounter.
Crazy enough, guys. Look who I ran into. This guy's real big, real jack. He says, "Why do I call him a scumbag on the internet?" This is why I asked him. And again, you could say...
So you got to do that for camera. You can't have a private conversation like an adult. You can only do things for the internet. You can't have a private conversation.
Because what I have to say is factual, and you guys...
It's not factual.
So you guys, let me tell you why I don't... Would I like to get free money from this guy? Yeah, sure. Would I pay me money for...
But Sean, when I just asked you, hey, have a conversation...
Well, you asked me why I called you a scumbag.
Then you need to have your camera. You can only talk on the internet.
But I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I called you a scumbag.
Only on the internet.
But I'll tell you why I called you a scumbag.
You're the one being the fucking scumbag right now.
No, I'll tell you why.
I'm saying it to your face.
I'll tell you why.
You're the one being the fucking scumbag right now.
All right, I want to just stop it there for a second because I do find it absolutely fucking hilarious that as soon as he called Sean a scumbag, he's like, you know what? Fuck this, I'm out of here. Which shows, I guess, a level of social intelligence, okay? Considering that Sean Strickland is one of the more unpredictable fighters on the roster and had already removed his backpack just in case anything went down. But no, you're the fucking scumbag, and I'm saying it to your fucking face, that he said as he's walking away is just peak comedy, okay? Objectively. Also, I do have to point out that I have never seen a man with an hourglass figure and B-cup boobas that also has 7% body fat. Okay, not to mention, that hair is just fucking wild. Credit to him for keeping it, because he does look a little bit, at least in this video, like a cross between Pennywise the Clown, Ron Jeremy mixed with just a sprinkle or dash of Harvey Weinstein. And that is absolutely fucking hilarious. But either way, let's continue.
I love my fans more than anything, you guys. And would I love to go take free money from this guy and peddle? Yeah, I would. Would I love to make free money from this guy? I would. I absolutely fucking would. I fucking would love to. But this man takes advantage of low-paid UFC fighters who are great men, who are just trying to make their mortgage and live a life. And he takes advantage of these men, and he uses their platform to peddle financial scams, and he sues people. And what he does is so dishonest and so scummy that, no, I will not. Just because you're nice and you shake my hand and you say you're my buddy, no.
The irony of Sean Strickland being the only fighter to actually do a modicum of fucking research into this guy is just wild to me, okay? Everything he is saying is true. Here's the fucking thing, you guys. This guy takes it. Now, I don't like the whole takes advantage of low-paid fighters thing, okay? For a couple reasons. Number one, they are fighters, right? They're not like mentally handicapped children or something. And number two, a lot of the fighters that he has had on his show or has had vouch for him or whatever are guys that made millions of dollars throughout their careers. We're talking pay-per-view main event fighters and shit like that. It's not like he's getting some 20-20 guy on his show, except maybe Ode Osborne. But he absolutely does use them to legitimize himself within the community to try and peddle scam courses to their fans. This has been proven multiple times over the last decade or so, which is probably why Moneyberg doesn't want to have this conversation and doesn't ever address these kinds of criticisms that people make of him. We didn't hear him speak on what Mikey Musumeci said, nor will we hear him speak on this, because everything that Strickland said is factually correct and proven.
You are a fraud. You are dishonest. You fraud people. This is why you don't want to be on camera, because you know everything I say is true. You've sued your people. I will never peddle his shit to you guys because I love you guys, man. Financial advice is easy. It's easy. Invest in solid mutual funds. Have a high yield account. You can buy individual stocks, but it's risky. I wouldn't recommend it unless you really pay attention. Real estate also risky. Your best real estate investment is going to be your first house when interest rates are better. But you are a scumbag and you're a fraudster, and the fact that you can't have this conversation on camera because you know everything I'm saying is true, and you won't use my platform or my name to peddle your shit to my followers. Ain't happening, dude. Go scam somebody else.
Then Sean Strickland, just casually walking around a building talking to his fucking camera, gives some of the best financial advice I've ever heard come out of a fighter's mouth, okay? Which I did find absolutely fucking hilarious when I heard it, because you just don't expect this kind of stuff out of Sean Strickland. So credit to him for that. Credit to him for being literally the only fighter to not just say that you don't buy his black belt or whatever, but to actually call out all the very scummy things that this guy has done in the past and is continuing to do today, while actively targeting the MMA fan base to do it, using fans' favorite fighters in an attempt to sell scam courses and, you know, essentially try and fuck these guys over. Again, I sound like a broken record, but this has been proved in court, which is why a once litigious, very litigious Derek Moneyberg hasn't sued anyone else since he lost that defamation case that he brought forward, okay? Anyways, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I apologize for being a little inactive. MMA is very slow at the moment. As I said in the opening, once it picks up, so will the content, okay? Like, subscribe, all that good shit. I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye.